Heidi ho, everybody!
Good
And
morning, all.
Friday live and maybe mail call because if John has something or not.
Nope. Nothing new yet. It's on its way from China.
From China.
Yeah, some of those seated figurines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So at least they're not stuck in a container box someplace. Uh, so as we were discussing, Steve, your new turnout switch turned out great, right?
Yeah, working well.
Good. My stupid monitor keeps blinking out on me. Guess I need to get a
Working
new one. I'll move you over to the second monitor. Uh, let's move that right over there. There we go. Move move my camera over too, so I'm not looking in a different direction. There we go. A little crooked. Okay. So what else is going on this week, Steve?
Um, let's see. I've been repairing locomotives, cleaning more or less, and between the changing of that turnout and cleaning the track, everything's running pretty darn good. I've had minor issues with one of my with the squeak seat.
You are fading in and out there, Steve.
That's because I'm way far away from the microphone.
Ah, okay.
So hang tight a minute.
Okay. Let's see. Lynn's here today. We got JB. We got Mystic. And who else? We got the Flying Crow. And looks like that's it so far. Oh, Lee was here. I don't know if he's still here. He may be asleep now. Um, and of course, Lynn was the first one to be on the chat.
Ah,
So about the only thing I got done this week is I've started priming my last month's box of the month so I can get started painting them. And I think today, since I'm off work, I'm gonna make sure I get this month's. Well, actually, it was last month's because this is September 1st. I mean, yeah, September 1st. And so last month's box also with the pickup truck and the fountain and the tires and wheels, the crate of items, just we got the girl playing the guitar. That's going to be interesting to paint. Maybe a little difficult. Um, Probably the easiest thing to paint's going to be this tent. And I just noticed
Yeah.
it does have an opening in the front and closed in the back. That's pretty neat. You could actually put a couple of people laying down in there if you could cut them up enough to get them put in there. Yeah, it's like I was.
All right, I got four.
You got four running.
Got four things running. Hey, JB.
Yeah. So, how's the weather down there, Steve? You having any trouble with that hurricane passing you?
Nah, I'm far enough inland. The only thing was a little wind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess St. Petersburg
Out
Beach and
where you used to live, flooded.
well, Shore Acres flooded. Shore Acres always floods.
Well,
Shore Acres can flood in a summer downpour. It's bad when you make finger islands that are just barely above sea level, and where do you dump the water out when it's high tide?
exactly. With 6 foot of storm surge.
Yeah. So yeah, it was. Pinellas County got lucky again. So I lived down there 52 years, and we never had a direct hit from a hurricane. So guess now it's 54 years without a direct hit. It was, I think, don't quote me, but I think it was the 1880s when Pinellas County got the last direct hit, and back in that time it was Hillsborough County. I think it was like 1887, and that's what actually cut John's Pass.
I'm running my Quincy Broadway Limited
Mm-hmm.
for the first time in a long time. I have issues with the coupling on it.
Mm. Yeah, I haven't started trying to get well, I haven't got anything to run on yet, but even at my old layout, I didn't get my passenger cars put together because they're the old silver sides. Um, that was the actual wood roof and bottom frame, metal ends, and the stamped aluminum sides. Um, I was getting new road trucks on them and couplers, but I never did get any finish to try out. Good morning, Joe. How are you today? Mystic has two sets of passenger cars he needs to replace the couplers on. Yeah, I guess that's a thing we all have to do. Now, are you going to use a longer shank KD coupler on that, or are you going to try to keep them up close?
Me?
No, I'm talking to Mystic. He's saying he's got 8 cars total that he's going to have to work on. It's going to cost him a bit for the couplers. And Steve, on yours, did you use the longer shank couplers?
No, not on these African cars.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try to run them close together. I hope it works. I'm not sure though. You know. Okay, Mystic Zen scale using MTL couplers. So he's going to do the entire trucks to
Okay.
MTL.
Oh, okay. Microtrains, I think.
Yeah, Microtames Limited, isn't it?
I don't know. Hey, Plumber! How's it going, Steve?
Good morning. Yeah, now that's was that a request?
Yeah, Mystic said he was going to be here today. He had the day off and was here for the great tunes I always play.
That's right. Bang your head. Yeah, I was lucky. I'm off today. I worked Tuesday instead, so the gal didn't want me to get full time hours, so told me to take either Thursday or Friday off. So I said, well, I'll take Friday off then. Can stay on the live stream all the time and get some work done around the house. Well, yeah, I'm still not sure what I'm gonna have to do to these seating figures that are coming in. I'm almost positive going to have to cut the legs off at the knee, or actually, I may have to cut off the
Yes, you will.
whole leg and maybe just have the torso in there. As I said last week, you're not really going to be able to see them unless you get real up close, because the windows aren't that big in this
You don't see it inside
car.
passenger car. Even when
Yeah.
you're up close, you don't see it.
Well, I'm gonna pretend I'll see it, and I'm gonna go ahead and put them in there, if you don't mind, Steve. Yeah, because it's hard to even really see the seats in there. But hopefully, with the heads popped up, you'll be able to at least tell that I did put some figures in there. You won't be able to see what they look like, but at least be able to tell. And then this one has the luggage rack on the top. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to make some pieces that I can cover up with some tissue paper and then paint like it's canvas. So they'll be heading down the road on a vacation. I,
Holiday room.
I believe one of the other ones I have like this, Woody, actually does have suitcases in the top. Um, but since that one does have them, I won't cover them up. This one, since I don't have anything, I'll go ahead and cover it up like they do have them up there, and just put a green tarp over it or something. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I had a short, and when every now and then when I have a short, what happens is it starts throwing switches erratically.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, all three of my mainline trains were derailing.
And it was running fine before we went live, of course.
Of course,
It's the way it usually works.
yeah. What I have to do is reset all the switches. Luckily, in JMRI, I have routes set up, so I just hit the default route. It puts everything back to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And all you guys out there that are married, just remember that the correct answer to any question from your wife is yes, dear. You can say it in so many different ways, though, but you're still telling her yes. I used to get my wife with that all the time. She knew when I was saying something different than yes, dear, just in the tone of my voice.
Yeah.
You can never have enough Johns. I have noticed those Steves are starting
Especially,
to catch up with John.
yeah, there's a few of us.
Yeah. Yeah, but we don't have to number you guys yet. Uh, that's a good one, Mystic. Lee's here, but he's working on his layout. So, and it looks like Steve's working on his layout. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
it seems like that always happens. No matter who it is going live, and they got trains running, and then they start having problems.
Well, in my case, it was from a short, and all of a sudden it threw the whole thing in the uproar.
Yeah. So, what else has gone on, Steve? He's a little busy today, I guess.
Yeah, I may have to replace the Quincy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and work on some of my figures, cutting off some of the supports. I like to, cut off a lot of the supports prior to priming, just so you can get in there farther. And but I do like to leave my figures, or at least most of the items, with at least the base still attached, so you can handle them a little better. And I save all these supports because I'm going to use them in, junk loads. I think they'll work real good as, some fine parts there in a junk load. Sprinkle them on top at the last and have them maybe look like they're newer items that have just got on there. Because what I'd like to do in my junkyard, I've got a small crane that I'll put in there, and I'm gonna leave a gondola in there all the time that's being loaded with the junk as it either comes into the junkyard or it's being moved from a pile within the junkyard. I saw, oh, who was it? Somebody, can't remember. They actually made their crane in their junkyard rotate. It didn't pick up anything, but it would rotate back and forth. Um, could probably do that with a little controller for, like the model airplanes, and just have a wire going down through the layout and have it mounted below and just have it turning back and forth. I think that would work. At least I may try that anyway. Um, I'm not as good as some of these people, but I'll figure it out. Yeah, I was retired there for a while, but I had to go back to work. I didn't like having little to no money at the end of the month. I was making it okay. Just I couldn't spend any fun stuff money, if you want to call it that. It is fun, but I still need some equipment for my yard, which is 10.79 acres, and there's some other things I still need to have for the house and do for the house to get it ready for winter time. So, which is coming. We're in the low 60s, high 50s at night now. It feels so good. I went out. I think it was Tuesday morning, and I actually had to wear a sweatshirt to do some mowing. So it's a coming. I'm ready for it. It's been not as hot summer here as like Steve's had down there in Tampa Bay, but it's been warm, and I'm ready for some cool weather. Now ask me that in January if I'm still ready for the cool weather. I know last year over Christmas we actually lost our heater for it was a good 5 days, and we just happened to be having the coldest winter in this limited past time. We got down to -6, and that's cold. Poor chickens were freezing, and
My 21st birthday was 22 degrees below zero in suburban Chicago.
Yeah, it's a little cold.
Let's see if they'll run now.
And I got most of those supports off. I had a email from Bernard, and he was looking for whoever has already painted the bears and the fish. So if you happen to get that and you have
I
painted
have.
yours, did did you submit any pictures of that?
No.
Okay. He was looking for somebody that has.
Didn't know he wanted to.
Well, somebody had posted them, but he was trying to remember who it was so he could get with them to see if he could use their picture. And I remember seeing one posted, but I can't remember who posted it. So if any of you know, let Bernard know. I know he does have an older picture of the bear with the fish in his mouth, but it wasn't the recent one. So if anyone knows, let him know. Steve says, without problems, you're not running trains. That's pretty correct there, Steve. I agree with you. I'm not having any problems now, but I'm not running any trains.
Well, mine are running fine. Right now, I've got my fancy observation that keeps on hooking from the Vista, but it's doing it at a magnet.
Mm.
Now it made it fast. That's good. Try a different thing on rail.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Grandpa Rails, how are you today?
Ooh, what?
You enjoying your new retirement?
Hey, JD.
All set up for the next prime session. So that's the whole box there that we got this last a week ago.
Now, I've been doing some painting, John.
Mm-hmm. About time.
I got all these mini print people painted.
Uh-huh.
Oops.
And so you go
Funny how I
talking
can
and you,
run.
yeah, you go to start talking and you have a derailment. Yep.
Get one issue fixed and another happens. Well, shit.
You know, a lot of people that paint their figures think it's a tedious task, and I can tell you if you're doing if you buy like the 72 piece set and you have 6 of the same person in there, yeah, that can get tedious. But that's what I like about the mini prints. When you get those, they're all individuals. You know, they're all different. So you're using different colors, you're using different techniques with them, you know, depending on whether you have a vehicle or not, you may be weathering it. You know, so it's fun doing it that way. I know this pickup I have that I just got, and I'm going to order more of these when he gets them out on the site. But the CNEI actually had a pickup truck that was tagged with the CNEI Herald, the orange and blue one, and it was painted dark blue with orange fenders, and it was mail delivery, box delivery that they ran. And I guess I'm gonna assume back in that time period, the railroads did that because they did handle mail. One sec, I'll be right back with you.
Yeah. So these other two have run fine. I'll get this one going. Let's see what happens. Hey, Derek. All right. That one. Not that one. This one.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Well, JB's having lunch now. It's only 11:05 here, so it's not lunchtime yet.
Well, he's in the central time zone too.
Well, it's only 11:05. He must be an early lunch type of guy. Of course, it is a little different up here
Hey,
because.
when you're
Go ahead.
when you're retired, you can eat and sleep and do whatever you want, whenever you want. The real question for JD is, has he lost track of what day it is?
Well, I know I do all the time, but I'm just getting senile. So, um, yeah, maybe I should run for president then. That's the way our current resident of the United States is. I think I'd be a good candidate for it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'll do just a good job.
Yeah. All right, that passenger train made it through there
Yeah,
that
I'm gonna have to
time.
do something with that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something with the coupler on either the second dome car or the observation. One of the other.
Yeah.
Of course, I haven't run this Broadway limited passenger train for ages,
Mm-hmm.
so there's probably some wheel sets I got to change out.
Or maybe they just need to be cleaned. Did you clean them when you were doing your cleaning session?
I have not,
And
but
are those the ones that have one plastic
you
wheel
know,
and one metal wheel?
some of them.
Hmm.
I've been replacing over time as I have issues. but the wheel sets don't have anything to do with the uncoupling.
Mm. Well, what is your next build, Steve, that you're going to do? It's been a while since you've done a build.
Um, I'm debating on the Chicago train sheds, the Union Station glass covers,
Mm-hmm.
or starting on Downers Road Main Street. But I want to get all these. I've got like 500 people to paint.
Oh yeah, I I don't quite have that many to paint, but I got quite a few to paint. Um, but as I say, it is something I do like to do. It's relaxing to me. I just been, I've been working so much, and by the time I get home and relax some, take care of the animals, and have dinner, it's time for me to go to bed. Um, got my poor rooster. He's not doing too well right now, and he's a good rooster. Doesn't attack me and things like that. But he's got I think it's called bumblefoot, where he can't stand on one of his feet because of the inflammation in there. I've got some spray that I bought to try to help that foot, but I think I'm going to have to make a little slit in his foot and drain the stuff out of him. Hate to do that, but maybe what needs to be done, which is one of the things to do with that. But yeah, he's a big bird too. He's a good sized chicken. Um, takes care of my hens out there, so he's a good boy. Um, but I'll try to save him. Try to save him. It's hard to find a good rooster. Maybe if I do lose him, I'll talk to my neighbors because they have more than they need in roosters, and bring one over here for my ladies. Yeah, Derek, I saw that too. I don't know how that got on there. The numbers at the end of your um, like email. Um, mine's like 1101, something like that. I don't know why that's on there. Um, maybe somebody else knows.
On what are you talking about?
If you respond to somebody on YouTube, like mine, it says CNE at CNEI John, then it's like 1101, something like that. Um,
Yeah, mine's got something like that on it too.
do you know why, what that has to do with anything?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I I haven't noticed that on everybody. I wonder if it's just if if your name is too short, they automatically add numbers. I don't know.
Why is mine wouldn't be finished?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Tom's trains and things. He gets into that a lot. Maybe we could ask him on his next Monday night if he knows what that is. If not, he'll probably try to look for it and find out why it is that way. And yes, my rooster's name is Foghorn Leghorn. Or I just call him Mr. Clucker. Still having issues, Steve?
Yeah, with the one-way limit, I gotta work on it. I'm gonna take it off. That's one nice thing about storage.
Yeah, is that working out real good for you?
It is.
Good. Now, I'll be right back. I got a phone call.
All right. Oh, the rain pours. Okay. Well, there it is. Let's get these out of the way. And that's why.
Well, I switched over to my camera or my mic on my video camera, so hopefully it works now.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, well, I was muted for a while, and my mute was off on my display panel, but I must have touched one of these buttons in the back of the headset, and I don't know which one it is. But I switched over to my camera mic, so it's working. Problems, problems, problems. There's always problems.
Almost ran North Coast Limited into the turntable.
Not like you haven't done that before.
Yeah, I haven't done it lately. I think the last time was when you were here.
Yeah. That wasn't on one of your preset routes?
No.
Okay.
It was one of those stupidity things.
Oh, okay. Okay. Conductor error?
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I know I'm doing something with that problem.
Yeah.
The problem is the Broadway Limited. I got to go through and fix the coupler that I know of. And I may have an issue at one of the bridge junctions. We'll find out in a minute.
Yeah, it's you do have, everybody has problems.
Well, screw on that one. Conductor error again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, stop trying to run 5 seconds.
Well, who's got a new project they're working on their layout? Anybody want to share what you're doing? And they want to know how your koi are doing with the heat, Steve.
Oh, they're fine. That pond's 6 feet deep, which gets down into stable ground temps.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's normally a shade cloth over it.
Now, what are you going to do when you start running your train outside?
Yeah.
Oh man, I try.
You can ask that every week. You get the same answer. Ain't happy.
It could be Lake Michigan. Plummer's working on a Jurassic Park scene for his. That would be interesting. You
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm having one of those screwed up moments.
Yeah, I'd like to start my G gauge outside also. I just, I can't even get my HO running yet, so I think I need only to work on one task at a time. I did bring all my trains and engines and track from Florida. I had taken it up quite a few years ago because I had a tree that was just destroying everything. So I decided, well, it's not going to work. I was thinking about making a track around the ceiling here, but not quite big enough. Plus, I got pictures hanging all the way almost to the ceiling up there anyway. So I'd have to move them. And of course, eventually my layout's going to be about this high, long something like this. The center peninsula is just directly across from it, so eventually you won't be able to see those pictures if I ever get anything going. That's going to be.
Alexa, trains off.
I don't know how.
Okay.
How wide I'm gonna make that section. Probably at the minimum 2 foot wide, but I may go up to 3 foot wide. I just got to watch the space I have in between the two, so I can at least operate myself in there. Of course, it'd never be good to have another operator in here, but that's not the reason I'm doing this layout. It's just all I got, and I'll do with what I can here. I still have plans to get.
That's all anybody can do.
Yeah, I still have plans to get a large shed and work on that, but that's going to be years down the road. Good morning, Kyle. Well, here where I'm at, we didn't have too many days that were, just too hot to be outside to work. Last week, I think it was Thursday or Friday, it got that way. Even a guy from Florida who had just moved to Tennessee got a little overheated. but one thing, at least all the nights are cool here. I can't remember the last time we had a night above like 70 degrees. It's been almost a month. Yeah, G-gauge in the snow would be interesting as long as you have a nice snow plow. And yes, I've seen that rotary plow. Is it the Toy Man? With he and his wife? I know he had a regular snow plow. I'm not sure if he had the rotary snow plow.
John, I'm going to reboot. The
Okay.
stream should stay running.
Okay.
So just hang tight. I'll be back.
Okay.
Keep everybody entertained.
I'll try. I'm not very good at it, but we'll work on it. So yeah, I had probably almost say 400 feet of track. I had a goldfish pond, not a big koi pond like Steve has, but a goldfish pond that I had a bridge that went across. I built probably an 18-foot long trestle to take the train across one of my open sections that I was transitioning from rise in the track formation around the pond, and then it went over to where my big sweet gum tree was, that of course was higher up in elevation. So yeah, that went across there. Well, stories from my youth. Not any ones that I can really share. I do have some funny stories of when I was a tank crewman in Germany. Yeah, I had a lot of them. We were road marching one early morning. It was probably 6, maybe 5 a.m. Still dark out, and we were road marching. We had a guardrail and a steep embankment off to our right side, so we were hugging that as close as possible. And here comes a convoy of our trucks coming passing us, and the driver of a fuel truck fell asleep and ran into our tracks. We bent our front left fender, and it ripped off the front of the two side axles and popped one of the tires in the back and ruptured the fuel cell. So not our fault, you know. Later on that morning, we were running through a little German town. The tank took up 3/4 of the street, and we were making a left-hand turn. And all of a sudden, I was sitting in the loader's hatch at that time, and the tank commander is asleep in his hatch. So I was actually commanding the tank at that time. We were making a left-hand turn, and I had my left-hand turn signal up. And all of a sudden, in the corner of my eye, I see this car going by us. He had 2 wheels in the street and 2 wheels on the sidewalk just as we were making the turn. Well, we tore off the outside skin of his passenger door and then went straight over his hood. I'm yelling, "Stop, stop, stop." Driver didn't even know we hit him. You know, you got a 56-ton tank versus I think it was a BMW. And he didn't even feel it. We did. I mean, his hood was only about 6 inches off the ground after we got through with it. And, not a good day, but he was okay. The driver didn't get hurt at all. And of course, the U.S. government bought him a brand new Mercedes for that, or BMW, whichever it was. I can't remember. That was too many years ago. But we had a time when we were doing, it was called War Steed 1. It was a war game between the U.S. troops and the German troops. And I was on an M60A3 Mystic. Didn't quite, I got out right before the M1s come out. Well, they had come out, another unit had got them, but I left. But so we were actually behind the enemy lines, and we're road marching. This is in the winter time, so it was snowy, icy. All of a sudden, we see we had half our platoon, which was 2 tanks, going down the road. And all of a sudden, the first tank just slams on the brakes and skids to a stop. And we do the same thing. We see his turret swing around over to the left. And there was a whole line of German tanks just sitting there. Didn't see anybody around him. So we go over there, and it turns out it was a German tank company that was being commanded by our old captain that had been moved up to the rank of major and was in charge of training a German tank company. And we captured his entire company without firing a shot. And he was mad. And he knew us. He knew us well. So he was calling our names and calling us all kinds of names. You can't do that. You can't capture us. We were eating. And well, you're in war games. You still have to have your guards out and people on watch. You can't just leave your tanks and go sit there and all eat at the same time. We never did that when he was with our company.
I'm back.
Okay, now you have a weird sound coming with your speaker.
All right. How's that?
That's a little better. Yeah. It's
Was it kind of squeaky?
no, it's more like a chuff of a train engine, steam engine.
Well, I don't have the trains running yet. I gotta reboot that now.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that. It didn't sound right.
But it's okay now.
It's not as loud, but I can still hear it in the background.
Well, that may be the air conditioner. I don't know.
If it is, you need to get that looked at because it sounds bad.
How's it now?
Much better.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of the. See, normally I'm running not only with my USB mic above me here, but also with some of the camera mics, and there's one of them that is a problem.
Sorry, just having to.
Alexa, train's on.
Okay.
Oh, crap. That didn't work.
Yeah, I was trying to find on my camera a picture of my tank. They asked what kind of tank it was. I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for basic and AIT, and I was trained on the M60A3 tank. And this is a picture of my tank in Germany. That's an M60A3, which looks exactly like an M60A1 unless you know what you're looking for. The A3 had a laser rangefinder, where the M60A1 had an optical rangefinder, which you brought two ghost images together as one, and that would give you the range to the target. Where the A3, I would just get my reticle on target and hit the laser button, and it would give me the distance to the target. Have the far distance, the near distance, and the close distance. But it was always the far distance that would come up. I was in during peacetime, so 79 to 83, so I didn't see any wartime at all. But I was the top gunner in my squadron. We got a nice tank trophy, which I still have. It's in the other room, but I still have it. And we had an old Sherman tank from World War II that was in the parade ground of our barracks area, our Kaserne. We were in an old German World War II Kaserne as our base. And what they did was they put our names on the side of the turret, and then they put our bumper numbers on the front and back of the tank to note that we were the high tank in the squadron, so everybody had to look at it. And what was good was the guy that was replacing me when I was going back to the States to Fort Hood, I trained him how to be a gunner. And one of the tricks I taught him was to find a tree and follow tree branches with your reticle using your catalytic control. And he actually qualified the same tank as the top tank the next gunnery season. So I think I did well training him, because really in gunnery, at least in the time I was in, the gunner was the one that really qualified the tank. The tank commander only had one task that he had to do, and that was take out a vehicle with his M85 machine gun, which was a piece of junk. That's why the Army's gone back for a 50 cal. They've gone back to the M2 machine gun. That's World War II era, but still one of the finest 50 caliber machine guns ever produced. So anyway, Steve, you're back. Sorry, I was asked about some stories from my military time to talk about while you were gone. Hi.
That is fine. Hey, hi.
And hi, I'm still hoping to get to come over to the Netherlands to see my daughter and my new son-in-law, and I will definitely let you know when I'm coming, and I'd love to get together with you over there. See how the European train systems do. But I hope to see my base, and there's not much of it left. I know I go on Google Earth, and it's, let's see, they still have the old PX that was there, which was not part of the German concern, and they have the movie theater. I can still see my the old ammo dump and our airfield. So I know where the stuff is. I just, I want to go over and see it. And it shouldn't be too bad of a drive from the Netherlands to Bad Kisken, West Germany, which if anybody remembers watching Hogan's Heroes, in Hogan's Heroes, they were always bombing the ball bearing plant in Schweinfurt. Well, the base that I was at was only 10 to 15 kilometers away from Schweinfurt. I never could find where that ball bearing plant was. They must have really destroyed it. Good job, Hogan's
You
Heroes.
think it actually existed?
No, but that's a nice story I like to tell. Anybody that's our age probably saw Hogan's Heroes. So to let them know, who knows, Stalag 13 could have been right around where I was at too. They never did actually mention where the Stalag 13 was at. But it had to be close to Schweinfurt. So, and I can tell you that I was the one that would repair the tank heaters. Our heaters always went out, and they were diesel heaters that ran off the same diesel fuel as the tank. And of course, every time we were out in the field and it was cold, they would go out. So I learned how to repair them, because when we were out in the field, we didn't have mechanics with us. Unless you had an engine that needed to be replaced, well, it was called a pack. It was the engine and the transmission together. You didn't get any service. If we broke our track, we had to repair it. If we broke a torsion bar, we had to repair it. We did it. So one time our heater went out, so I get the thing, take it out. There's a couple clamps and the fuel line and the electrical connection and the exhaust that I had to disconnect, and got it apart. And I knew a little bit about diesel engines then. And if anybody runs a diesel engine, they know that they're fired by glow plugs and not spark plugs. Well, that was the problem. Our glow plug had gone out, so it wouldn't fire. So I actually had one that I'd gotten from the supply sergeant for the squadron, and fixed our heater and put it back in. Well, everybody in the company found out that I could fix tank heaters. So I would always carry a handful of glow plugs when we went to the field. And I'd get calls from the other platoons and the other companies, and they would say, "Hey, John, come over here and fix our heater. It just went out." So I'd run over. I got to where I could take a heater out in about 15 minutes, fix it, and get it back in about 30 minutes. So, of course, they couldn't pay me money for it, but what I would charge is cases of beer when we got back to the barracks. And there were times where I had quite a few cases of beer that I didn't have to pay for by fixing these tank heaters. So another story. Oh, it gets cold. And I'll tell you what, those tanks, when they get cold, they get real cold. It's like having a big ice box. Got 8 inches of armor plate that's all steel and metals, and that retains the cold. So then I remember when we were at Fort Hood, one of our engines, one of our heaters went out, and we did a little thing. We went to a different company. They had left their loader's hatch periscope port unlatched. So we went in there and opened that hatch, and you could reach your arm in and grab the lever for the driver's hatch and slide it open. Well, I was standing guard for my tank commander, who was going inside and confiscating the other tank's heater. Took it out, took it to their tank, installed it. That's just misappropriation of governmental things. It probably only cost about, if a hammer is $197, that heater probably cost $30,000. So it's just small money. Yeah. Another story I can have is we were having Reforger. That's when troops from the States would come over to Germany and have war games. They'd be flown over. There were tanks that were staged for them that, in case there was a war, they didn't have to bring the tanks over. And
Right.
we had half of our platoon, which I was in an armored cav unit, so we had 4 tanks and 5 APCs that made up a platoon. So we had 2 tanks and 2 of our APCs set up overlooking a field in front of us. And all of a sudden we hear helicopters coming in. Well, it was a British Air Mobile company coming in, and they set down and their soldiers get out and the helicopters fly away. We start up, we run through their platoon area with our blanks going in our machine guns, and the Cav scouts and the APCs are shooting their M16s with the blanks. And we wiped out the entire company because they didn't even have time to set up their anti-tank weapons that they had with them. So that was fun. Same Reforger. We had figured out if we took the blanks that we had that would simulate a main gun firing, if we took them and took all the cardboard wrapping off the outside, inside there was a little plastic container of flash powder. Well, this flash powder had a regular fuse that went to it that the electric charge would set off. Well, we found if we took and wrapped that in duct tape and used that just like a firecracker, we could light them and throw them like hand grenades. So we were sitting there overlooking a valley in a wooded section. It was just my tank. And here in front of us comes a chieftain down on the road below us. And chieftains were big lumbering tanks. They didn't do well off cross country, but they were lumbering along, and they stopped right in front of us. And here their turret turns and faces out over the open field. And my tank commander looks at me and says, "Linton, go down there and capture that tank." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, go down there and capture that tank." So we had one of our secondary weapons in the tank was
all right, Steve. Be good.
Was an M3A1 submachine gun. It shoot 45 caliber bullets. We didn't have any blanks for them or anything, but I grabbed one of those and I worked my way down the hill, and they couldn't hear me because their engines were still running. And I climbed up on the back of the tank. I walked over to the turret, and the tank commander still hadn't seen me. And the driver couldn't see me because it was on the other end of the tank. And of course, the loader and the gunner were down inside of the tank. So I walked up and I tapped the tank commander on the shoulder with the M3A1 submachine gun in my hand. I said, "You're captured." You should have seen his eyes. It was a black British guy. His eyes just got huge, like, how can you capture us like that, But we were given the capture, so that's my little story there.
That's pretty cool. Hey, Steve, Didn't see you sneak in. Of course, I was busy on stuff. Hey, Kyle.
Yep.
But
But
take
anyway,
the one train off that was giving me problems.
Well, that's good. Now I
Everything
see
else
things
runs
moving
good.
now.
Things are moving with me sitting in my seat.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. Don't get up and walk around then. So, but yeah, there's a lot more stories, but I actually enjoyed my time in the military. It was a good learning experience. I learned how to do a lot of things. Of course, there's no real calling, outside of the military for a tank gunner, but I learned how to work on things. That really helped me in my next job that I did, which was lawn maintenance for 13 years. I got to where I would repair the things. I'd tear a tractor's transmission apart and find the one bearing in there that was going bad and replace that and put it all back together, and it'd work. So learned a lot of things. Learned how to weld and braze and cut with an acetylene torch and weld with stick welder. Um, so it was a lot of a good experience. Well, hi, I understand from my daughter that the Netherlands military is not that big anyway. She thought the whole military unit was having some kind of war games going through their town one day. But the Netherlands usually relies on its neighbors to protect them. But the Netherlands does have a military. I just don't know how big it is.
Same with me, John. I almost went to Annapolis. My dad said, nope. He said, I served so your kids wouldn't have to. So if they don't need you, you ain't going. I said, okay. I said, you're going to pay for college? He said, yep. I said, cool.
Well, see, I had always wanted to go in the military. When I was a kid, I built a lot of military models, especially tanks, and I enjoyed building tanks. So me and my buddy, we both wanted to go in and be on tanks. Unfortunately, we weren't stationed at the same location, and he went to basic training after I did. I went in 3 days after I graduated from high school, and so I went right away. He had the summer that he stayed at home and then came later. But I was stationed in Bad Kisken, West Germany, with the 2nd and 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment. He was stationed in Bad Holzfeld, which was our northern limits of our unit, and he was with the 3rd of the 11th ACR. So I went up and saw him one time, and his barracks was like junk compared to ours. Ours had spit shine floors. Everything was immaculate. Even though it was from World War II, it was still well maintained. I don't know what the problem was up at their unit, because they were crummy up there. But he only stayed in for about a year because his father passed away, and he got out to go home and help his mother with family things. So but it was fun. I enjoyed it. I got to see Switzerland. I went to Paris, France, had a week down on the Mediterranean in Lloret de Mar, Spain. Got to see all kinds of German countryside. We enjoyed running through the beach fields as fast as we could because we'd send up these dark red rooster tails off the back of the tank. It was fun. Very fun. And Steve, it's 11:55, and I think I need to sign off now.
Yeah, it's about that time. I've gone a little longer than what I normally go. It's just so I can get trains running right. You know, never fails. I go ahead and try to run a train that I haven't run for a long time, and one that I took off the rails because it had issues. So I need to address the issues.
Yeah, I gotta go down and mow my Steve up here's property for him. So that will be my afternoon. And we hope to see y'all again next week. I'll only be able to stay half the show. But y'all have a good weekend. Take care now.
All right, bye, John.
Bye.
And there we go. All right, everybody. I want to thank you all for joining us here today. And a lot of people here that aren't normally here. Steve, 87th. Figured you'd be working. You must have time off. So, and John Mystic, he's not normally able to make it. So, with that, I want to thank you guys. I got to take my wife to Walmart. So, she can't drive due to her second knee replacement. So, anyway. Hey, thanks, Kyle. I appreciate that. Even if I wasn't able to talk very much because I was busy fixing trains. So, they're running good now. Of course, they're running good now that we're signing off, right? So, anyway, thanks for joining me. Y'all have a great weekend. Bye now.